Welcome back to The Grind. In this video, we are going to talk about this next event, but mostly we're talking about Leos, the Resurrection Branch Dragon. So the next event is PvP Team Gauntlet. I do have guides on my channel in a playlist in the PvP guide playlist. So check those out for all the details you need for you and your team to excel in this event. But with the release of this week's event, we also have access to Leos, the Resurrection Branch. And I just noticed when I pulled this up, we also have an exotic Electroflack glyph branch, which is disappointing because personally, I don't see a lot of value in Electroflacks. Perhaps you can find some uses at very max endgame when you have full islands full, like long islands full of flax, because the super shot of the Electroflack increases damage from the other flax. But as a whole, I don't find this one to have as much utility because a second ice flak I feel is much more valuable. So that is disappointing. I won't really be looking at this, especially since I don't really need the resources along the branch either. So we are going to take a look at Leos. And for the first 3 weeks, I believe it is, of this release until January 5th, you will get 15% increase in prizes. So that means 15% more egg tokens, 15% more gold chests, and everything as such, except, of course, not the evolution stones or keys. So that is something to consider. If you are definitely interested in getting Leos, then getting as much as you can early on will get you a little bit more of the rewards. Now, there are a couple interesting things to make note about Leos before you make your judgments. So we're going to look at the forum post and blog post to see some of those details. So here is the blog post. We have the return of Leos, wave 1.5, I guess that is, they're calling it. And we are going to look at the details of Leos. That is a very cool looking picture. I'm not sure if Leos got a update of his appearance in game. I kind of doubt that they did. But we are going to look at some of the details and changes that are coming with Leos. So they said they will be foregoing the traditional branch announcement blog post to try a new style of blog post called the Designer's Journal. So I guess they're going to give some insight into design. So there are some answers here about some of the common questions that they expected. You can take a look at them if you're interested, but basically they picked Leos because it was second in the poll. They are changing some of the spells as well as the runes, and we're going to take a look at those details. So the spells, they are changing the Blazing Shield. It used to be blue. Now they're making it white to make it a little bit more relevant to today's meta and allowing it to function a little bit more viable than it otherwise would, because this dragon in today's day and age would not really be a useful dragon for anyone. So they're also saying the damage reduction was increased to 60% from 40%. So it will now decrease the damage a lot more that you will take, because you're going to be taking damage. The towers deal a ton of damage, so you got to be able to decrease that. Lion's Rage, the breath damage now increases up to 100% instead of only up to 60%. And they changed the fire turret resist and made it a fire flak resist. So that is a bit more relevant for the meta as well. Now, they kind of explain here they didn't feel like it would do justice to the dragon to simply create it the way it was. However, they also mentioned the runes. They wanted to point out that the runes that were released with the original Leos were very strong, the strongest runes in the game. And those players who have it have a significant advantage over those who did not. And they are worried that if they were to release this dragon with those runes again, then that would kind of break the balance of runes and glyphs, because it would be by far the most superior rune for HP in the game. So unfortunately, they are not releasing that. And if you want to read a bit more of the details, feel free. But these are what the runes and glyphs are going to be. The standard 4% HP for a legendary and 6% for a mythic, and the Blazing Shield duration increases with those runes and glyphs. So you'll get a longer duration of the damage reduction. But I have heard from others who have played with Leos in the past that Leos uses that spell to heal on activation. And so the duration of it being longer means you can't use it as many times, which means you overall have less healing, which is kind of an unfortunate downside. So now let's take a look at War Dragon's Neon to see what the spell details are for Leos, and then we'll also keep in mind the adjustments that have been made. So the first one is Lion's Pride, or Lion's Rage, sorry, and this one is a passive that at low dragon HP, the attacks increase damage dealt to buildings. So your attack will scale up once you're at a lower health of your dragon. The extra damage taken by towers is 60%, but that has been increased to 100%. So the lower your HP gets, the more damage you will be dealing. And the next spell is Blazing Shield, which is blue on here, but as we read, they are changing it to a white spell, so you will not have to worry about the blue mage for this spell. And this reduces incoming damage and restores health. It costs 2 rage, and it has a duration of 3.5 seconds, but again, the runes and glyphs will increase that duration. The damage reduction was 40%, and that was increased to, I think what I said was 60% damage reduction. And the healing is 27% of modified HP. So that's a pretty good chunk of healing. And again, because the duration is increased with the runes, that means you'll be able to use it less frequently, but you will have more time that you can keep that shield up for the damage reduction. So it's a trade-off, and it'll kind of depend on how that all works once we, get it in the game and see how that goes. But the decreased frequency of healing is unfortunate, but because it lasts longer, you'll have to use less rage to keep it active for the majority of the flight. And then we have Dark Flak resist as well as Fire Flak resist, which we saw the Fire Turret resist was switched to Fire Flak resist. So pretty simple dragon as far as the spell set goes. Just one active spell, which is Blazing Shield. So not a very difficult dragon to understand. It'll be a very basic, simple dragon to fly, especially if you put on that auto battle. That will keep the breath damage going for you, and you can just tap that shield whenever it is needed or available. And I do plan to get some videos out with Leos in the near future, hopefully within the next few days, if time allows it. So I hope this video was helpful, and let me know in the comments if you're excited about Leos, if you're planning to get Leos, or what your thoughts are overall. And I will see you in the next video.